Hello everyone. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you are going to identify the web elements. Okay. So now I'm going to create a new class. First program. You can write any name. Select public static void main and click on finish. So now I wanted to launch the browser. So you all know we are using Chrome browser. First, you have to set the system dot set property, and then you have to give the Webdriver dot Chrome dot driver, and then path of the Chrome driver where your driver is. So you take this path, you have to take the Chrome driver name also, put it here, .exe. Take this and then put it under double quotes. So this is the first step, and after that you need to initiate the driver instance. Web driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Now what I wanted to do is I have to import the respective packages. So WebDriver you have to import this, and Chrome driver you have to import this. Now you need to invoke the browser driver dot get URL. Okay, I'm just taking this URL and then see what is going to happen. Now if you run this program, see what is going to happen. So it will invoke or launch the browser. You can call either invokes the browser, or you can say that the WebDriver launches the URL. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. So now if you see, Chrome driver started successfully, and you see there is a text data colon and then comma. So our driver is not launched properly. So in this case, so sometimes it may happen with some of the browsers. So at that time you have to add Chrome options to the script. So how I am going to do that? So let's say what I'm going to do is you have to write Chrome options. So I'm declaring it as options is equal to new Chrome options, and then you have to import the Chrome options package. So import that, and then options dot add arguments, and then you have to add this text add arguments, and then hyphen remote allow origins is equal to star. That means it will allow everything on the Chrome. So take this. You don't need to mug up anything. You just need to understand what you have to use. Now, once that is done, just delete the additional things. Okay. Now you have to pass these options to the driver. Now if you run this program, I'm just clearing this and then terminate this program and then try to run this program. See what is going to happen. Now it will launch your browser successfully with the URL whatever we have provided. See here. So it is still loading, and then it launched our demoguru99.com test login.xml. So this is one kind of issue you might face during your development of automation. So you need to understand what you have to use when there is a problem like this. You have to use Chrome options. Okay, so then you will be able to launch the application easily. So now what I wanted to do is, so now I have passed this URL directly here. Instead of doing this, I can define it as a string base URL is equal to, and I'll put this into the, I will assign it to that variable colon. So when you are writing the script, you can call this. And after invoking this browser, you wanted to close this. So like this. So how to do that? You wanted to write driver dot close method. Now if you run, it will launch the browser and then it will close it. So this is how you will be able to run the script, launching the browser and then closing the browser. See, so it went a little fast. So if you wanted to see that, just uncomment, just comment this one and try to run. It will open the URL with this script. So now the next step, what I'm going to tell you is we are going to identify the text boxes, how you are going to identify the text box and how you are going to identify the buttons in this section. So if you see, you know how to identify the element, right? So you are going to inspect the element and then you will take the element and then click on this. So when you see, there are two properties. One is ID and another one is name. You can take any of the properties. ID is email, name also email. Similarly, password also, you have ID is password, name also PASSWD. That is what they have defined. So for button, so if you see the button, whatever the button you have, just look at the button properly. See, you have to identify like this. So now it will go to the button. ID is equal to submit login. Name is equal to submit login. You can either take ID property or you can take name property also. I'll go with one property first. If I have to write the program, how I'm going to write? Generally, we will write like this: driver dot find element by dot ID and then name. So what is the property? You just go and see again if it you wanted to. For this, name is equal to email. So I'm going to take that email dot send keys. You are going to send the value at the rate of gmail.com. So this is one way of writing it. Similarly, what you are going to do, you are going to write it for password. Driver dot find element by dot. I'll take ID here. Okay. So PASSWD. If you want, you can go and copy that and paste it here. Dot send keys. And then you are writing the password. Let's say some ABCD or something, whatever you wanted to write, you can write it. And the last one, you wanted to click on the button. How are we going to do? Driver dot find element by dot. You can use either ID or name. You go to that particular property and then try to identify the button and take the property. If it is ID, you are going to take the ID attribute value. Just give that value by ID and then dot. On a button, you will be performing an operation called click operation. See here, I have used all of them with ID. You can use name also. If you know the property value, you can either use ID or you can use name also. Whichever you wanted to use, you can make use of it. I'm just removing this and then running the program one more time. I'll close this application and then run the program. See what is going to happen. It will enter the user ID and password, that email ID and password, and then click on the submit button. So it entered the email ID there and it entered the password and clicked on successfully logged in. Because there is no validation happening on the screen, that's the reason you are able to log into this application. Okay, that's fine. We will discuss that later. As of now, what did you understand? You understand how you are going to enter the user ID, enter the password and click on login button. So instead of doing this way, I am commenting this. So how do you comment? If you wanted to comment single line, two forward slashes. If you wanted to comment as a group, you have to select this, control shift forward slash. Then entire thing will get commented. So now what I wanted to do is I wanted to define all of these as web element. Web element email is equal to driver dot find element by dot name you can take, and the name of that is email. So this is one way of defining the value. So if you look at web element, you have to import the web element. Now if you see at the top, the web element will be imported. So I'll tell you what is the purpose of it. Similarly, you have to define another web element, that is web element pwd is equal to driver dot find element by dot id and then passwd colon, and then the last one web element btn is equal to driver dot find element by dot id, and then you are going to give the property here value and then colon. So now if you wanted to run the write the script, so you have to take the web element whatever you have defined dot send keys, and then you are going to write abc@gmail.com. So what is the purpose of doing using a web element method? So if you define all the properties at one place and make use of them in your script, you might use this for n number of times based upon your requirement. You might be using it if you are using it for 100 lines. Okay, for example, if you are writing in this manner and you are writing it 100 times, or let's say, let me show you, I'm writing like this 100 times. Okay, I'll tell you which scenario you will be having these many times. Okay, that means the same element you are going to use for n number of times. See here, you are repeating the same code again and again. So the same code, whatever we have written, we are assigning it to one element, and then we are just making use of this email instead of this. So what will happen because of this? If you do that, what will happen if there is a change in the property value email? If there is a property value changes, so they might have changed it to, instead of email, they might have changed it to mail ID. At that time, what we have to do? Every line we have to go and change the script. So instead of doing this, if you change only at this line mail ID, then the entire script will work. That is what the advantage of defining the web elements and then making use of it. So that is how you will be using your web elements. Similarly, password pwd dot send keys, and then you are entering some password and colon, and then btn button dot, you can use a click method or you can use a submit button also, submit method also. Both the methods will work. Okay, on a button you can do click operation or submit operation. On a text box you will be able to perform the send keys method. Now you run the program and see what is going to happen. It will launch your browser, and then it will enter the user ID, that email ID and the password, and then it will click on the submit button. That is how the script works. Whether you write it directly or whether you use web element method, it will work in the same manner, but you will be able to optimize your code easily. So now I don't want to show you the submit button, but I wanted to show one more method on the text boxes. On the text boxes, you will have an option. My element is email web element dot. See, there is a method called clear method. So clear method means whatever the text has been entered into that box, it will get clear. So now I am not clearing the text which I have entered into the password. I am just clearing only on the email one. So let's see what is going to happen. I'm just closing this. Run the program one more time. See what is going to happen. So it will enter that value, and password also it will enter, and then it will clear the email address what we have entered. That is what clear method does. Similarly, you can do password clear also. Okay, now run and see. If you run and see this method, you will be able to see how your password text, whatever you have entered, will be cleared. So now what we have learned in this session, we have learned about input boxes. These are called input boxes or text boxes. And this is called button. And you will be submitting a button or you can click on a button. These are all the things you have learned in this session. Okay. So you can identify this element using either name or ID, or else you can use other locators also. But for now, we are just identifying using ID and name. So you and identify any of the elements. Let's say you go to any website, Google. You wanted to go to Google website, google.com. So go here and I wanted to identify this box. How are we going to do? You go right click and inspect and see what is going to happen here. Inspect and click on this and see you will be having name property as Q. Name is equal to Q. Now I wanted to write the script for this. How I'm going to do this? See, I don't find, I find ID also. You can take ID also. ID is equal to APJFQB. You can make use of either name or ID and then run the script. So I'm going to take this and then try to run using the same script. So how we are going to do? Let me comment all other steps. Here, what I'm going to do is, I'll just write the Google script. I'll just have it here and then I'll comment the other one. Base URL I've commented. Here you have to give colon. Okay. So now I don't want to see these elements for time being. I will close this also, comment this also, control shift /, and I will define one web element. Okay. So what is my web element? I am going to define it for Google. Web element email, your GID, Google ID is equal to by dot name. That name is Q. That's what we have seen in the application, right? So now what I wanted to do is GID dot send keys. Let's say testing. I wanted to identify. I wanted to pass the text into testing. So now if you run this program, see what is going to happen. It will launch Google application and then it will enter the testing text into that input box. That is how you will be able to write the script for any of the elements. Whatever they ask you, you should be in a position to write the script. See, testing got entered there. So that's how you will enter the text using your ID and name property. Okay. So we will see the next in our second sessions.